Welcome to the Hoop Collective podcast. We talk about the NBA, which we're doing on Thursday afternoon. Joining us from Detroit, where he's just flown in from a week in New York. I believe you were at the Magic's mildly surprising victory over the Knicks last night. It's Vince Goodwill.
That sounded almost easy coming off you calling me Vince. I like that, Wendy.
I respect your wishes. I respect your wishes to want to rebrand. I mean, go by Vince. Joining us from the San Fernando Valley, where she's one of the most colorful characters, born and raised, Ramona Shelburne.
You know what? I don't know that you can make that statement about the San Fernando Valley. We have a lot of colorful characters.
That's true. Here. That's true. That's true. Yeah. There's quite a history in your. Yeah. You're not kidding. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. Okay, I think we should start on the West Coast, Ramona. I've been in LA all week. I've gone to 2 Clipper games.
Have you really?
While the Lakers are definitely the focus of LA as usual, and we'll talk about them in a minute. There's a lot of depression on the Clippers side of the court. So I went to the Nuggets Clippers game on Wednesday night, and I will talk about Jokic and the Nuggets in a second.
Let's do that too, yeah.
I got a little fired up. Jackson remembers this. I got a little fired up in the preseason. There was a Clippers Nuggets game on ESPN. Both teams in the preseason, and both teams played it for real. And it was especially for the first half, super high level, awesome basketball. The Clippers looked great. Literally, we ended the broadcast and I came right into this studio here in LA and maybe got a little excited about what I saw, sort of shaking off the summer blues. And I thought the Clippers looked great. I was all excited about Zubats. Kawhi was awesome. And I was this felt almost like a mini game 8. They were both stretching their legs against each other. And I saw the same 2 teams again, 5 weeks later. And my God, is it a different feel, Ramona? The Clippers are in a bad way. They've lost 6 in a row. Mm-hmm. Before the game, they announced that Bradley Beal had broken his hip and was out for the season. Then Lawrence Frank said that Kawhi Leonard, he's missed the last 6 games with a sprained ankle. He said it's not just a sprained ankle. It's also a sprained foot, and it's a significant sprained foot, and he's going through treatment 3 times a day, and they're dealing with a lot of inflammation, not anything that feels good. And then after the Clippers crush them for their 6th straight loss, as they get ready to do a 7-game road trip, and it was already apparent if you watch the game, Ty Lue said they're going to start playing younger guys, which is not what you want to hear about your team in November, because it means things aren't going well. And they played 2 two-way guys over 20 minutes, and I think that they may be doing that a little more going forward. So, Ramona, I know you spent a bunch of time around the Clippers early in the season, primarily because of the cap circumvention thing, but I don't know. It's tough. I really had high hopes and expectations for the Clippers. I was way out there on them, and they were not present on this week in Intuit Dome.
They were not good. It started with the 2 losses. It was a home and home with the Phoenix Suns, and I think the Suns have been playing pretty well recently. And they came up. They've been coming up with a formula for everybody, right? They came up with a formula on Wemby. They came up with a formula on the Clippers, and I
will say they have 1 win this season of teams over 500, on the Suns, but they're winning. I don't want to take it.
But they beat the Clippers twice, and I think this is what started this downslide. And it was you watch the Suns against them, and the Suns have a lot of younger, faster, athletic guys, and they just made the Clippers look bad in those games. And I thought that's kind of that started the slide. They sort of thought they were getting some things figured out, and then yesterday was, I thought, pretty ugly. It was hard to watch. I mean, I watched 2 very ugly games last night with the Lakers and the Thunder, and then the Clippers and the Nuggets where, and I know you said we'll get back to Denver where they put Jokic back in the game when they were up by 15. And I was are they trying to get him 70? I don't know. But, that was an interesting move there.
Well, he had, what did he have after 3? Did he have 52 after 3?
52 after 3.
So,
Yeah. And then they were up by a lot, and then it got to 15 or 16, and then they put him back in at the game. Because, in this league, you really can't turn fast. So I'll believe David Adelman at his word, saying, we just want to win the game, et cetera. But I felt like when I've been watching the Clippers lately, the one thing that you could always hang your hat on with the Clippers is that they were going to compete on defense. Jeff Van Gundy runs the defense. Ty Lue's always a great defensive coach. It didn't matter the talent they had on the floor. Those guys were going to compete. And I don't see that right now. And Ty's looked at tapes and he's talked about it a lot in his press conferences. And a lot of what they're saying is it starts with transition. We're getting beat back down the court, that speaks to age. Okay. It speaks to being able to get back. But some of that is, you can say that's Brooke Lopez. You can say that maybe they should put John Collins in there. James Harden is not exactly rushing back every time, but it's more than just the defense. Like, if you don't have defense, you really don't have anything, but they really don't have anything offensively either. There's no rhythm. And they're sort of last in every offensive metric, like pace and turnovers, so when you're playing slow and you're turning the ball over and you're not playing defense, it's a pretty bad recipe. Plus, I should point this out. The oldest guy on the team, the guy we thought would be a player who could steady them in moments like this, Chris Paul, is getting DNP'd. And I thought that was notable. The first time it happened, I said, okay, they're playing the Hawks. That maybe it's not his kind of game. But then it happened again last night. And this is against a Denver team that, they're playing faster, but Chris Paul knows what he's doing out there on the court. And so I don't know what's happening. I know they had Jordan Miller play last night, and you said they're playing, young guys.
Multiple two-way guys, Jordan Miller and Kobe. They've got two Kobes, Kobe Sanders.
Fucking Sanders, yeah.
Different Kobe. No, they've got Kobe Brown, who I don't really think is in the list of guys that are going to play that much. But Kobe Sanders seems like it might be. Yeah. So, yes, they got two Kobes and one CP, and the Kobes played more than CP.
Yeah, Vince, and CP is not
too early? No, he was only playing with the Clippers.
Like, Vince, can we just call it?
He played 82 games. He started 82 games last year for the Phoenix Suns and did a pretty darn good job.
Spurs,
Spurs. I'm sorry. Oh God, back me up there. Sorry.
But you're great. You're right. But there's no. I'm trying to say there's no precedent. Like, the last precedent for a small guard to play this late in his career was John Stockton, who only had, I believe, one major knee injury throughout his career. I think it was in 97, 98. He might have played like 46 games or something like that. Yeah. But he had been the Iron Man up until that point and even after. Like, so much wear and tear and atrophy on Chris Paul's body. Like, it's amazing. Like, maybe we'll talk about Paul George, maybe we won't. But when your body changes, we tend to forget. Whoa, hold on. Did I lose you, Wendy? Okay. I'll lost you for a second. When your body changes and you have to transform your game, like Chris Paul was a dynamo, an athletic dynamo when he came into the league. He was dunking on everybody. He was as quick as the Allen Iversons, as the Isaiah Thomas, as the little guys of the time. And then when he had that knee injury, he had to sort of remake his game. He's so far removed from that and so old, we've forgotten that his body has had so much happen to it to this point that it's not expected that he should be able to play at age 40 and play high minutes and everything else. Same thing with Paul George in 2014 when he had that gruesome leg injury. We've forgotten that he's 10 years removed from that athletic dynamo. I think we've become so accustomed to seeing the LeBrons and the Stephs and the KDs play at such a high level so late into their career that we think everybody's supposed to do it. And when you put together an old team, and Kawhi Leonard is old, right? His body has told him that he's old, even though he's, 34, I think. I think he was born in 91, so he's 34. But his body says that he's probably 40. And if you're expecting these guys to hold up early and late, I think, people got a little bit, Wendy, you probably got a little ahead of yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
clearly. My defense
but here's the thing, like, are we sure, was Chris Paul part of the problem when they were losing? Like, he hasn't played these last games.
Well,
and I don't know.
I don't think this is
performance has dropped.
I don't think. No, I don't think it's a Chris Paul thing. I'm sure.
No. I'm not saying he's a problem. I'm not saying he's the issue. No.
I think it's possible that Chris Paul might not be thrilled about not playing. He knew when he signed that he was going to have a smaller role. But here's the thing: like, the Clippers picked a bad time to be old. What I mean by that is that the league is just playing so fast.
Yes.
Like, the other day, somebody was saying to me, the reason the league's playing so fast is because of how fast the Thunder and the Pacers played last year. And I was like, well, yeah, the Pacers played fast. I was like, did the Thunder really play fast? I was like, well, are Thunder a fast-paced team? Yeah. I looked it up. They're like 23rd in pace. But when you watch them play, they move into they try to really move down the court to get into their offense. They're trying to get down the court and start their offense by about 19 on the clock.
Yeah.
So the reality is playing at like speed is now just table stakes, right? So I went and looked it up for the story that Bontemps and I always put out on Fridays, the Intel story that we have, NBA Intel, whatever. I don't even know what they brand it. So last year, I think there were like 8 or 9 teams that averaged over 100 possessions a game. Right now, there's like 25. So now that pace will slow down. Teams will get more tired. Like you never playing as fast in November as you are going to play in March. But okay, so that's the reality of the NBA. All these teams are playing like much more speed, and the Clippers have the oldest team on record. And so you look at like Brook Lopez is giving them next to nothing. Batum's giving them next to nothing. Bogdan Bogdanović, friend of the pod, I know he's frustrated. He's giving them next to nothing. Kawhi is now hurt with a foot injury. They're so, talk to scouts, and the scouts are like, they have no chance of having a fast break point, and they get a turnover and they're just in big trouble. So, Vince, is it too early to point out in November? Is it too early to point out that the Thunder have the Clippers draft pick?
I mean, it's kind of the story every year.
I know, but last year they were the 5 seed, I know.
So, I know, but every year you're like, how much longer does the Thunder have their pick? It's not too because the West
is so stacked.
I think 3 more years.
God,
jeez, that's the gift that keeps on giving. Like, no, I don't think it's too early to talk about that, because when you're playing in the West, think about the teams that we believe are underachieving in the West. We're really only talking about Dallas and New Orleans. Phoenix is playing a little bit above their heads, even though they haven't like beaten anybody.
I think the Warriors are underachieving too. I think the Warriors and the Clippers.
I feel like the Warriors are playing exactly to where they should be because they're an old team. I'm a person that will say, and maybe Wendy can brand this, I'll just be wrong, right? And by that means, if the Warriors happen to prove me wrong.
Wait, hold on. You're saying I should brand something where I'm saying I'm wrong, or I'm saying something you're wrong?
Wrong?
No, I'm saying you can say that you believe in it. I'll just have to be wrong. Like I will ride on this until I'm wrong. I'll be okay being wrong. Like the Warriors being who they are, I'll just be wrong, right? The Clippers being who they are, I'll be wrong. And I think in this Western Conference, if you lose 5 games in a row, like that puts you in such a tough position where you are playing from behind for the rest of the season. Like remember the Warriors did that 23-8 stretch after getting Jimmy Butler. And we thought usually that will probably put you to the point of being in a 4 or 5 spot. If you finish that frenetically, they were still in the play-in.
That's right.
Like this is a tougher Western Conference than last year. So yeah, you ain't getting your pick back. You better start figuring out what you got in these young players. And I'm a Ty Lue believer. I think he's one of the top 5 coaches in basketball, but that's kind of one of those things that you kind of have to re-register your key card every now and again. Like you can't just say it. You kind of have to actually do it, but he doesn't have the pieces. Wendy, I don't think that helps him at this point. Even if James Harden is carrying the load, he's still 36 years old.
I would have believed that to be the case at stretches this year. I did not believe we were going to be here at November 13th.
I didn't either. And I think some of this, Bri, and I'll say this was my take, is I've watched them. Ty seems like he's experimenting with all sorts of different rotations, which is good and bad. Like it's good because what you're doing isn't working, so you should try something else. But also bad because it makes it harder for people to get their rhythm. It makes James Harden's rotations have changed a lot. It's kind of hard for him to stay ready and be ready because I can get into the nuances of when they're subbing him in and out in the second quarter or not, et cetera. But I think it's when you're trying a lot of things, it can be destabilizing. But I also think if you don't have a young team, if you just fundamentally went old this year and you're relying on smarts and skill and wisdom, et cetera, just lean in that way. Like, don't try to be what you're not with inferior talent. And I to me, I've watched Chris Paul play this year. I thought he still had it. I thought he was good. And I don't understand why he can't be part of the answer. Like, you got him for a moment like this to organize your offense when James Harden is out there and maybe he needs to take some of the load off of him. You got him for when you're in a 6-game losing streak. Like, that's part of why you have veterans like that. And I'm wondering what's going to happen there.
I suspect, I'm wondering what's going to happen, but I suspect that I more than suspect. I think they need as many people who can get the ball moving as fast, get the bodies moving as fast as possible. And at this point, I think they're looking at younger guys who can do that. And maybe their situation will flip around and it'll be a different set of challenges that they have, maybe after Kawhi gets back. But right now, I think they're like, we need as much speed as we can possibly get on the court. And I don't think Chris is on that list right now. Fair or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't like to start the podcast off in a negative. I don't like to. I just did. I realized that. So Jokic.
Oh.
Okay. So, like, we are all fortunate. We get to spend a lot of time around elite athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember when I was a kid, Vince, Warren Moon was playing for the Houston Oilers, and he was in the Cleveland Browns division. And when Warren Moon threw the ball looked different. I realize you watch all the NFL quarterbacks, the ball looked different coming out of his hands. I guess for the kids, Aaron Rodgers, the ball comes out of Aaron Rodgers' hand. Like, he kind of like slings it like in a way, and it lands in places and goes to places. You're like, how did he do that? Mahomes the same way. Mahomes does stuff. And like, as a golfer, like I remember when I first saw Rory McIlroy, Tiger was too, but Tiger was more mental. But when Rory McIlroy hits the ball, even amongst pro golfers, the ball looks different coming off his club.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When Jokic shoots a shot, the ball lands on the rim different. The ball lands on the rim, and it's like the rim wants it in. Like, this is like Kobe. I don't know.
I know what you're talking about.
I know I'm going off on like when Kobe shot the ball sort of went into the net in such a way, like almost like in the back of the net. It like almost mechanical. Like Kobe had a way when his shot was going, the ball went in. Jokic puts the ball up there, and obviously he's swishing it most of the time, but he puts the ball up there, and the ball lands on the rim as if someone else shot it. Like his touch. And then like you see a rebound come off, and like 3 or 4 guys will go for the rebound, and Jokic will not have position.
Yeah.
And he sticks his hand in there, and somehow the ball comes to his hand. A shot will come up, and guys will get in position. Jokic will be totally out of the play. And then somehow 1 second later, he's got the ball. It's amazing to watch. He's at the peak of his powers. Guys, the statistics are freaking crazy. All right. He is shooting 78% on 2-pointers.
That's wild.
And obviously I know he's taking some layups, but he takes shots from all these different angles from all over the mid-range. He's throwing up floaters, balls bouncing around the rim. He is shooting 68%, I think 68% overall.
Yeah.
Okay. He's leading the league in rebounds. He's leading the league in assists. Okay.
Have we ever seen that before?
Wilt?
I was going to think, was the year that Wilt led the league in assists, did he lead the league in rebounds at the same time?
I'm sure he did. I didn't look it up. Now, I'm going to say two things. I'm going to give you 2 more stats that are wild. Per 100 possessions, that's the way we standardize the stats. Per 100 possessions, The Nuggets are scoring 151 points per 100 possessions when Jokic is out there. All right? When Jokic is out there, the Nuggets are allowing, per 100 possessions, 104 points. That means Jokic's net rating, and 100 possessions is about a game for most of the league. When we first started doing this stat, it wasn't a game. Most possession games were less than 100, but the game is sped up. Jokic is that's 47 points net rating plus 47.
That's historic.
The Nuggets, guys, the Nuggets are the number 2 defensive team in the league right now. I mean, holy Moses. I spent a bunch of time with the Nuggets people yesterday. Jokic is in a very good place. Jamal Murray came in shape. Aaron Gordon is healthy. Bruce Brown's not killing it, but it gives them defensive versatility. Jonas Valanciunas, he's only playing like 12, 15 minutes, but that gives Jokic's minutes are down. And, he's three minutes down. He's 3 minutes down and 4 shots down. And he's scoring more points and playing better defense. Man.
I liked his quote, Brian, at the end of the game last night, where he said, I like our bench, like the depth they have on this team, because all those guys want to play defense. Like, we all want to be good at defense. And I think just that organizational depth that they have this year, they have a lot of competitive, high care guys, that term, the high care factor, right? They have a lot of guys that just play the right way. They have depth. They have guys they can count on. They have a nice mix of veterans and young guys. And I just think Jokic, there was one game at the beginning of the year against the Warriors where I thought he looked like he needed to play. He needed another week to get in shape. That's about all I can say, where he's looked fallible.
The Nuggets admit he didn't come. The Nuggets admit he didn't come in. He's come in better shape before.
But that's all I can find. Like, that is and he still was great. He just needed another week to get into shape. He looks like the game has slowed down for him. When there's people out there and they're just orchestrating everything. Like right now, it's like when Tom Brady, when he was in his 40s, and you're like, how is he still doing this? And it's just because he knows everything that's going to happen 5 steps ahead. Like, that's what I feel like when I watch Jokic. It's the game is, everyone else is playing at one speed, and he's Neo in the Matrix right now.
Yeah, I've stopped making Seinfeld references and Matrix references because I think our podcast audience has aged out.
Oh man, really?
I don't know.
I'm a completely different demo of Seinfeld. I'll tell you that much, Wendy. You gotta put other shows in there, but I will say this: there are certain advanced stats that I've come to rely upon in terms of like historical references and everything else. Win shares per 48 minutes is something that I've come to really love over the past maybe 10 years or so. If I remember correctly, Michael Jordan's best win shares per 48 was something around like a 0.339 or something like that, right? Like, basically all you need to know, people, is that it's a statistical model that basically shows how much of an effect you have on winning per night. Jokic's win shares per 48 minutes when he won MVP was right around like a 301. This season, it's at a 468. That would be the highest by far in the history of the NBA. I feel pretty damn confident. I don't have to look that up to see that it's the highest. Like you said, Wendy, he's at the absolute peak of his powers. And I want to transition just a little bit. To me, this is why I hate the second apron. And I know people are going to say, oh, parity is great and everything else. Screw that. To some degree, we've been cheated out of being able to see Jokic and that team with whatever the resources that the Nuggets were going to use. Now, maybe you could say the Kroenke family was never going to dive deep into it without the restrictions, and maybe you're right. But let's just say it, right? They should be on a collision course, a yearly collision course, with Oklahoma City at full throttle. Like, we should be watching them like the Celtics and the 76ers back in the 80s, or the Pistons and Bulls, when I was first coming up. Like, it's that sort of rivalry that we should have if the Nuggets have been allowed by the rules to keep their team together. Because watching a player like this warrants the level of greatness he should be surrounded by. The fact that you go get Tim Hardaway on a minimum and he's just out here, you know what? I'm gonna just stand at this spot like the Sandlot. Remember the Sandlot, Wendy? Have you seen that movie?
I don't know. We may age out. That may age out our audience too, man.
Maybe. I'm trying to meet people where they
it's
at.
More
right?
of a it's more of a classic,
Stick your hand up here and the ball will just reach you. That's Tim Hardaway. Just stand there. And Aaron Gordon, one of the greatest, in my opinion, low-key player development stories in the history of the NBA. I know I'm saying hyperbolically, but the fact that he's in year 12 and he's still improving, better with the handle, better with three-point shooting, really good defender, still athletic. Like, you don't see guys improving this much this late in their careers. And he's one of the guys that you're like, man, is Aaron Gordon this good, or is it Jokic? No, it's both. It's both, because Jokic is still improving. This is insane, and we might be in for a collision course between Denver and Oklahoma City this May.
So I did look it up, win shares. Jordan's best year was .321. Jokic's .468. As long as we're having fun with advanced stats. So I know
I'm not saying he's better than Jordan. I'm not going crazy like that.
I know. All right, I know. PER, which is, player efficiency rating, it's sort of fallen out of vogue as a statistical measure because it leans more towards big men. But it's good for standardizing stats. So Jokic has led the NBA in PER in 6 straight seasons. Okay. So it's not even news. Okay. League average PER, it's specifically says that the league average player has a 15.0. So replacement level player has a 15.0 PER. His highest ever in a season was one of his MVP years. He had a 32.8 PER. Last year, when he finished second, he had 32 PER, which was his highest in 3 years. He's a 39.4 right now. And I'm going to go look up what Wilt was, because they can retroactively, even though the stat wasn't around, They can retroactively do it. I'm going to go look what Wilt was in the crazy year where he.
Do you think we've been cheated a little bit, that we weren't able to see Denver really, really run it back once they get over the hump, and to see Oklahoma City try to come and get them? Like, Oklahoma City they were tested, but they didn't have anybody to climb over. And now they're just lapping the league at this point.
Look, I covered that series last year, and Vinny, I'm Vince. I'm gonna get your name right.
You're fine. No, you're fine. You can call me Vinny. You can call me Vinny.
He just changed it.
I know.
So
we're
respecting his rebrand.
Okay, we're respecting his rebrand. Vince. Okay, it's like the clothing brand Vince. Okay, that's how I'm gonna remember now. I still think Denver would have beat Oklahoma City last year if Aaron Gordon didn't get hurt that last game. And if the game would have been at nighttime instead of during the day. Like, that's how good Denver was they were absolutely gassed. They had 2 7-game series in a row, not a lot of days off in between. Michael Porter Jr. had a shoulder. Aaron Gordon had hammy or calf, was leg injury. And I still think they would have beat him if they had just a little tiny bit more recovery. And I look back on the decisions they made last year. This is when we all were talking about the second apron, and Calvin Booth made the sort of choice to go with the youth movement. I think Calvin Booth deserves an apology from some folks, because Christian Brown, that guy is really good, and they let him. Calvin believed in Christian Brown enough to let KCP go. And like, you look at Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, still a really good player, but I think Christian Brown's gotten better. He's bigger. He's 6'7". He's a little taller. He's stronger and
6'7".
He can. Are you doing that? Is that what you're doing? The 6'7"?
Yeah, of course. Oh my God! So there was
you walk right into that. Are we doing that?
You should look for the video today.
Yeah.
There was I can't remember which teams played, but there was a college women's basketball game today that they played like in the morning.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I wish I could tell you who it is. It was two big schools, and they did it so that grade school kids could come to the game.
Yeah.
And when they reached 67 points at the foul line,
God,
the place went
crazy.
Like the footage. The footage is amazing.
This is what happens when youth things, now we're all understanding what 6'7" is. And none of us actually understand it. Nobody really does, but we're now using it to be cool. I don't know what 6'7" is. So now it's going to switch to something like they're going to make it 4'1" or.
You don't wait, but you don't know, Vince, or you don't
I know
that
it's something that started. No,
okay,
I know it's something that started like on the TikToks, and I know, what the kids do, but I don't know exactly what the hell it means.
Nobody
well,
does.
You don't have
Nobody
you
does.
don't have
not
a
even
7
the
or
kids
8 year old like Ramona and I do.
It's just a nonsense thing, It's but the fact that we're saying it now means it's no longer cool. Just watch. There's going to be something new. So what? Back to the point. I think Calvin Booth's move to go to the youth movement. Look, we can talk about letting Bruce Brown go. That contract he signed, I don't know that was a good contract for Denver to do. I'm happy for Bruce that he got paid. He deserved to get paid, but that was a lot of money that he was able to get because of the way Indiana had that big salary cap space. They were supposed to get DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, they used it to get Pascal Siakam. One of the reasons why the Pacers were in the finals last year was because they couldn't find anybody to give the money to, and they're like, Bruce, how do you feel about $20 million? He was like, I feel pretty good about it.
So
by the way, that's what happens when you win a championship. Sometimes role players get paid and they leave, except if you're the Thunder.
Yeah, yet. Okay, we'll just say
bring
yet.
Everybody back.
Just first, but
that's right.
So I know what you're saying, Vince, but I also think like Peyton Watson's really good, and that's another guy Calvin Booth believed in. I think Christian Brown's good, Schroeder's good. That all those young guys are good, and I
wasn't saying like as an abomination of Calvin Booth. I think he did a really good job, and I think to some degree he kind of got. Let's be perfectly. I think he got a little scapegoated on the way out, like everybody did. That Michael Malone, Calvin, like somebody who's still there was watching that whole thing happen, and all of a sudden, that's a discussion for another day. But I think Calvin.
But your question was, have we missed out on
some bona fides
the Denver prime? There was last year. I would say yes, because they did lack some depth. They couldn't play enough of the young guys and Jokic had to do too much, and Aaron Gordon had to do too much, and that's why But I also think it was. I think they had the best chance of beating the Thunder of anyone I saw, and we can argue about the last game 7 with Haliburton getting hurt. They could have beat the Thunder too, okay? But Denver was really good, and I think that was the year they could have got him. I don't know. Let's see them this year when they match up. Let's see a 7-game series again.
It's a good point. I will say this, and I've said this before, over the last 3 years, the minimum that Denver should have won was one title.
Yeah, minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum. They had 2 7-game series losses. Who knows? Before we move on, I did look up the Chamberlain. So the classic all-time Chamberlain year, 61-62, averaged 50 points and 26 rebounds, averaged 48.5 minutes, one of the most unbreakable single-season records in all of sports, averaged 48.5 minutes a game. His PER that year was, in fact, the highest of his career, as you can imagine, with those kind of stats. His win shares per 48, Vinny, since were 0.286. His PER was 32.1. Like I said, Jokic's is 39.
This is insane.
Jokic's true shooting. I mean, if you don't care about advanced stats, you're going to have turned this pod off. Jokic's true shooting right now is 770.
Okay.
That's insane.
77%.
It's like Bond. It's like Barry Bonds numbers.
No, look, it's Shohei Ohtani. I live in LA.
Like this walks and everything else. Yeah.
This is. I mean, we were on radio yesterday, and Shohei's going to win the MVP again, and we're like, how many more is he going to win? Like, he should win every year if he's going to hit 50 home runs and then be a pitcher also and strike 10 guys out, and so like it's kind of. We have a few athletes in our generation now, whether it's basketball with Steph or
the
Jokic.
Dodgers, Vinny, a true underdog story.
But you know what? I like the fact that greatness, they go for it. Screw everybody, the NBA and Mike Bass and Adam Silver, they'll strike me down. And I have told them to this, so I'm not speaking out of turn. I don't care how bad the bad team is or how good the bad team is. Give me greatness. Like you said, the minimum of the championships Denver should have won is one. We should have seen an epic NBA finals between them and Boston. Even if it was just 1 year. Yeah. The way that Boston was a machine and ran roughshod through everybody, and Denver as defending champions, they ran out of gas.
The year that I agree with you on that, I think it should. The two teams of the last 5 years, let's say, Denver and Boston. Boston blew it that year. They lost to Miami. I think they should have been in the finals that year, and they blew it. And I think and that was the year Denver ended up winning. And then the year Boston won it, I would say the Nuggets blew it, right? They lost, and they should have. I think they really could have won that year. Last year, I think the Thunder arrived maybe 1 year early, but they deserve it too, right? Like, so this now we're in the Thunder era, and it's a matter of can Denver get any out of the West while it's the Oklahoma City Thunder era.
That's true.
Death to second apron CBA. Death to it. I hate it.
Well, I got news for you, Vince. That many years are left on that bad boy.
You left out Jokic. Yes. The first time they won a game that he scored 50, and you were at it.
That's right, which he immediately talked about last night after the game. It was like his first thing he said was, "Well, we finally won one." Yeah, he missed his first two shots. I think he got mad, and he had 25 by the end of the first quarter. Yeah. So the Lakers were. Perk had a funny line today on NBA Today. He was like, there's been a lot of damage done in Oklahoma City to the opposing teams this week because, the Warriors went in there, got obliterated, and next thing you know, Draymond's calling out teammates for having agendas, and the Lakers came in there, and JJ is all fluttered after the game because of the whipping that they got. So this was a game where the Thunder won the second night of a back-to-back, and they did not have Jalen Williams, obviously. Did not have Lou Dort because he's got an injury, so no Dortcher Chamber. Dortcher Chamber was locked. Obviously, Aaron Wiggins, he's not a super elite defender, but he's another body they have used on the perimeter. Here comes Luka. He's red hot. He's leading the league in scoring. I'm thinking, maybe this is a night. Maybe Luka, without those frontline defenders, maybe Luka. Didn't he have some long streak of 20-point games? You're figuring he's just going to stretch out to 20. Maybe he puts up 45 in this game. Yeah, he had his worst offensive game of the season. He had 19. The Thunder double-teamed him 14 times. There's people who are – I know that this is a topic, and I understand some of it is for radio purposes, Ramona, about whether they're better without LeBron.
Oh, yeah, we've been getting into that on LA radio. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. The Lakers, I think the Lakers have done great without LeBron, and then Luka was out and Austin Reeves was out. The fact that they've been able to position themselves like this is really going to potentially pay off. You talked about Vince. You talked about losing 5 in a row is puts you behind the 8 ball in the West. Well, if you can miss your stars for a stretch of games and have a winning record, it's huge. So I think the Lakers have done great. But the reality is this. They are a bottom 10 defensive team in the league. They're a bottom 10 net rating team in the league. Okay? Their numbers indicate that they should be a losing team, at best 500. They have done really well mitigating their challenges because, basically because Luka and Austin have been so great. Has been the primary reason. They've gotten some good play from their role players. They've shown some depth. They had that one stretch where they had 6 guys score 25 points in a 48-hour period. That was definitely really good for them. But, Ramona, they need LeBron.
Yeah.
And I understand that working him in is probably going to mess with their flow a little bit. Yep. But let's just have real talk here. I'm not even I'm not looking for an argument. Yeah. I don't even think it's an argument.
No, it's not an argument. Brian, the other day I was on with Steve Mason, doing Mason in Ireland on LA radio. And he brought up a phrase from the past, which I correctly told him he needs to go back and reread your book with Dave McMenamin about the very specifics of this term. But I think we're heading to a discussion where we bring back the term fit out and fit in. right? That's an old Cleveland Cavaliers reference. That was a subtweet, I think, directed at Kevin Love. I can let you fill in the whole story there. But the question is,
it was very, very much directed at him.
The question is, when LeBron comes back, does he need to fit out or does he need to fit in with what they've been doing? Right? Do they fit him into what Luka and Austin have been doing and the way they've been running their offense? Because they're both getting 20-something shots a night and they got it humming. But I should point out the Lakers they tend to have a fairly easy schedule at the beginning of the year because a lot of their national TV games get after football. So in the spring, the networks to pick them against the best teams, the real head-to-heads. So they've had some, they've taken care of the games they should have taken care of. They beat the Charlotte on the road. I do think they did win some games with heroic individual performances. The couple Austin Reeves games, there was a Jake LaRavia game. But when LeBron comes back, and I'll give you the floor because you chronicled the fit in and fit out years. But what's the answer to that? Does he fit into what they're doing, or does he try to fit out and just be LeBron and make them fit around him?
Well, I think one of the things is that's going to be a challenge is I want to see what LeBron's demeanor is.
Okay.
So, like we've seen, frankly, LeBron's demeanor kind of varies sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes he's like super engaged and happy and bouncy, and sometimes he's brooding. And so like the Lakers have a pretty good chemistry going. I think I think so. I don't know if you agree with me. Like I like the energy of their team and everything like that. So, like, and let's acknowledge LeBron's never done this before. First off, he had a knee injury at the start of the summer. So he was totally off his game already.
The MCL, yeah.
So he didn't have, he was, I remember he announced he was working out again, but it was like in July. So he missed that stretch, and then he has the sciatica. He's got to go through that. So even if he was 10 years younger, he would be doing something he'd never done before, which is joining a team midstream. And the team, before everything happened at his whim, now he's got to do something. So even if his intentions are 100% pure, he may have a few little bobbles and there may be some rough moments. But I think it would be a good idea if he comes in and has lots of displays positive energy, sort of joins what's already been a positive energy.
Okay, so falls into the fit-in category.
He struggles a little bit. I guess that's what you've worked me into saying. I think that's because I guess that's what you.
The fun part about this analogy, and I love resurfacing old Cavs things, is that when Luka came to the Lakers, LeBron very notably told him, "You need to fit out. Just go be Luka. Go be who you are. Don't feel like you need to try to fit into what we're doing. You need to fit out. Be yourself, and we'll fit in around you." And I think that's what's happening. I mean, this happens to everybody in life. Like you're the golden child. You're the number one. You're the star of everything. And then all of a sudden, one day somebody else is. And it might be because you got older. It might be because somebody else is a new boss, or they changed things. Things just changed, and it's not your fault. Somebody likes somebody better. It's capricious sometimes. It's never happened to LeBron. And I think your point about demeanor matters. I think his social media is a pretty good way to judge that, because he has been tweeting a lot when the Lakers been on the road, or when Austin's been having a good game, or somebody. He's been very engaged, and you can tell when he tweets. Right, it's always him. You can tell somebody, is and when it's him, it's obviously
it's in his voice. It's in his
So sure. I feel like he's been engaged. He seems to be sort of liking the camaraderie of this team, but you're right. There are other games where he looks disinterested and he's off in his own world or whatever it is. So let's see what it's like.
I'm not going to analyze what happens when he's sitting on the bench. I'm just talking about, that he plays in moods sometimes. So that's what I'll be watching, Vince.
Yeah. Jackson says so today, I love watching YouTube golf videos. Random, I know. LOL, so cool. Right? I mean, that's definitely him tweeting that. Unless he got Magic Johnson's ghostwriter, to do that for him.
What are you talking about, Ramona? I tweet myself. That's my Magic Johnson impression. But I will say this, because at the start of this, Wendy said that their net rating and where they are says that they are a middle of the pack team. And then you talked about them being a bottom 10 defense. And then you're going to add soon-to-be 41-year-old LeBron James to a bottom 10 defense, and we're going to expect to get better. I'm just saying that point right there. Like, LeBron can't turn his hips anymore, and then he's got a lower leg injury. That does not say to me that you are going to be a better defensive player. The Lakers, so much, Wendy, you said, great. You got revenge body Luka. Austin Reeves playing for a $200 million contract. DeAndre Ayton looks like a DeAndre Ayton that we haven't seen in years, right? Marcus Smart had a Marcus Smart game. Right? Yeah, okay, most nights, right?
7 steals the other night from Marcus Smart.
Right. Like, you've gotten the max to large degree out of what you could get, and then reality hit you smack in the face last night against Oklahoma City. And I don't think even if LeBron comes back, that LeBron is the difference between the Lakers losing by 50 to Oklahoma City and beating Oklahoma City. Once again, I feel like I'm the person that has to put cold water on stuff. Not because I don't think LeBron is historically great or great for his age or anything like that. I think the gap is so great between the Lakers and those two teams. It is tough to, and I think he's walking into a situation where we might expect too much from him, because to some degree, the only thing he can do, lack of a better phrase, is F this up. Because everybody looks at how everybody is in place and playing well and the vibes are great. The first time something goes wrong, they're going to be looking at him like he Kevin Love in 2014.
So can I say a word for LeBron?
I think that's a fair, yeah.
I thought last year was one of his best defensive years in a long time because they made him the quarterback of this defense. And they have this, we could get into exactly what they're running, but it is based off a lot of when LeBron was running it, he was kind of playing almost like a center position in a way. Like he was kind of playing on the back line. He was yelling and telling everyone where to go. And he wasn't having to get out on the perimeter and chase guys around. Like they're kind of use him in that role, I think. And it should help their defense just because of how smart he is and how good he is in that particular. Think of him like a middle linebacker. Okay. Instead of, I don't know where is he going to, when he plays offense, is the ball going to be in his hands or is it going to be in Luka and AR's hands? And then LeBron is out standing in the corner like that's a strange sight for me to picture, but they did a lot of that last year where LeBron is just spotting up from three. And I don't know how that's going to feel for him.
I don't mean to jump in, Wendy.
It's okay.
I don't think LeBron is going to come and make a debut and be whistling in the corner. I think LeBron, as we know him, wants to be an impact player. Now, maybe you can stand to the side while Luka's dancing. I don't think he's standing to the side while AR is dancing. I think he's going to assert himself and be LeBron James, as we know, because he hears as engaged as he is on social media. You ain't just tweeting and putting the phone down. You tweeting and you reading. You're seeing what people are saying, even if it's nonsensical. Oh, look at how great the Lakers are without LeBron James. You don't think a big part of him, I'm not saying this because he has a big ego and egomaniac. I'm not saying, I'm saying the human part of this is saying, oh, you think they're better without me? Watch this. And he's going to want to come in and assert himself. I think that's human nature. Sitting aside for Luka is one thing. Sitting to the side while AR and DeAndre Ayton run the pick and roll. All right, cool. Y'all got it. I don't think that's happening.
That reminds me of the 2023 NBA, the national team.
Okay.
I was covering it, and they wanted Ann Edwards to be the sixth man.
Yeah, okay.
Which ended after about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they were like, in 2008, in the Redeem team.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
I mean, Austin Reeves was on that team, too. No offense to Austin. And they were like, hey, on that 2008 Redeem team, Dwayne Wade came off the bench.
Yeah.
Because Kobe started. And Ant was like, all right, I didn't see Kobe. I looked out there and I didn't see Kobe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Wendy. I didn't mean to destroy you landing the joke, but that is hilarious.
And by the way, within like 2 days, they were like, actually, he's not the sixth man. He's actually going to be our best player.
Right.
So Vince, another guy who was on that 23 team was Jalen Brunson. So you were at the game. The Knicks were 7-0 at home at the Garden. They've had I don't know if I would say a favorable schedule, but certainly a home heavy schedule. And they've been taking advantage of it. They play 8 of their first 11 at home. Mm-hmm. And you've been to a bunch of them. And Orlando, who's been playing better, came in there. Paolo Banchero goes out in the first quarter, or was the second quarter, but he didn't play long with a groin injury.
First quarter, yep.
And the Magic lay the smackdown, and then Jalen turns over his ankle late in the game. And I think while we were doing this podcast, they made an announcement. But if you could take us through what was like in the Garden last night.
I will say this, and Knicks fans, of course, will hate me. And don't hate me, y'all. I promise. I'll come in peace. I don't hate y'all. I don't hate your team. I hate some of y'all fans, but I don't hate y'all, the Knicks as a whole. I will say this. Jalen Brunson was in the game with you're down almost 20 with less than 2 minutes left. Mikal Bridges hadn't played in the fourth quarter. Josh Hart hadn't played in the fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson was still out there. You're down 16. I think it was 115.99. And he sprains his ankle with 156 left. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been in there. I am saying that the tone of the discussion today would be totally different if Tom Thibodeau were the head coach and he had left Jalen Brunson in the game, down 16 in the game on the second end of a back-to-back, right? They played Memphis the night before, and that sort of thing happens. That's a really hard thing to reconcile. And I will say this, that locker room was really low for a team that had won 7 games in a row at home, for a team that won 5 games in a row at home. Like, I haven't been around the team all year. I'm not trying to like cast any aspersions.
You've been around a fair amount.
Yeah, as someone who's covered a lot of bad teams or a lot of teams full of turmoil. I'm not saying this is a team full of turmoil. I'm just saying that I've seen moods that says, man, we got a 5-game losing streak going on, as opposed to, man, we dropped the game against the team that we should have beat. You know what I mean? Like, that's the sort of thing that sort of sticks with you a little bit. And I'm very curious to see how they play against Miami in his home and home when Jalen Brunson is going to be out, at least for this game, with a grade 1 ankle sprain. Last year, he had an ankle sprain in LA in March, and he missed a month. He missed almost 15 games right before the
same ankle, right?
Same ankle. So you got to be really
also
careful.
He left the Garden on crutches. I mean,
crutches and a walking boot.
Oh,
which I think nowadays people do the walking boot just to start the treatment and everything else. I don't think it necessarily signals the same thing that it used to signal, back in the day. But it is something that bears watching. And for this team, everything bears watching.
Yeah, so they play their 9th home game out of their first 12 in the in-season tournament, NBA Cup on Friday. And then they go on the road for 5 games. So,
including Dallas.
Yeah, which, I think that game's on ESPN. Dallas needs a win against anybody right now. Yeah, I mean, just, into every season, choppy waters happen. The Cavs right now, for example, are, Darius Garland re-injured his toe. He's out, indefinitely. Mm-hmm. And so now, I mean, look, maybe that crutches was just precautionary, but maybe that crutches means he's going to be out for some games. And it's going to be a point where they're going to do it on the road. So the Knicks are about to get challenged, and
he's going to be evaluated daily. Let me make sure I say that. Source told me that he's going to be evaluated daily. He's going to be out for Friday's game against Miami, and he'll be evaluated daily after that. Maybe this is the best case scenario. He had the ankle sprains in the first round of the playoffs against Detroit and just came back miraculously and played and didn't look worse for wear, right? So we never know. He could be bionic, man, and be right back at this. I don't want to say that he's going to miss as much time as he missed last year, but the history says that he missed a decent amount of time last season with this.
Yeah, that's a fair point about Tibbs. Tibbs is a bit of a polarizing, he's a polarizing topic because he led them to their just best run in decades. And, they made a change. And I will say this, independent of the injury and independent of last night's game, which was the second night of a back-to-back. And, look, you got to be real careful judging teams. Even I know it was a home back-to-back, but, it's like you probably shouldn't judge a team in Oklahoma City. Like a regular season game in Oklahoma City, like
or LA.
It's like Draymond like ripped the team the other night. I'm like, Draymond, I respect what you're saying. You know what you're doing. And like they had a great bounce back performance. He led that with defense in San Antonio. They won.
They also got Steph.
But like when you're on a 6-game road trip, Steph was amazing. When you're on a 6-game road trip and you take it in the teeth in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
I think the way to say it is that's a grace. That's a grace station. It's time for a little grace in that spot. But having said that, so before the back-to-back, the Knicks were playing really well, especially offensively.
Yeah, and
especially offensively.
And I just to bring up Oklahoma City, because I don't think we talk about them enough. You could talk about them every time, but they didn't have two of their starters last night against they didn't have two of their starters Wednesday night against the Lakers.
That's
and
right.
I watched the game and I saw how it unfolded. Like it looked close for a minute and I was excited. There's going to be a real measuring stick kind of game. Let's see if the Lakers are for real. Let's see Oklahoma City when they're tired on the second night of a back-to-back. And then it's the way they get everybody humming. It's just the way it's like this swarm. And like even to the do we talk about AJ Mitchell yet a lot on this pod? I've heard you guys the last few times.
No, we a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
One of my favorite pastimes is to think about all the good young players that the Thunder just simply didn't have room for. Right? Vit Krejcik, that guy's great in Atlanta now, right?
Yeah.
Trey Mann, he's.
I felt bad for Vit. Vit had like one of the greatest games of his life the other day.
Yeah.
He had like 8 threes or 9 threes, but it happened on Monday night when there was like the greatest finishes in NBA, and like that was the last game of the night, the Clipper game,
totally.
And like Vit didn't get his proper shine the next day.
But like if you're a team in the NBA and you are looking for some good young players to develop, I would just stand next to the Thunder whenever they have to make roster cuts and just grab that guy. Like everybody they even cut is good.
That's real talk. They kind of have to.
They kind of have to. They
can't only keep so many
guys. For all these great players. And that's why when they don't have Aaron Wiggins and Lou Dort last night, it was fine. And I was like, oh wow, well, Cason Wallace is not as big as Lou Dort. Maybe Luka will post him up. Nope, didn't matter. Like they have so many good players, and even the ones that don't play. Like, have you ever looked at Jalen Williams' stats? He doesn't even play that much. Not J Dub, J Will. Okay. I mean, if you put him in there and he plays, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes a night, if you put him in a role where he played 30 minutes a night, he'd be double every night. I mean, he'd be 20 and 10 maybe. Like, that's how good they are.
I think it's funny. We've seen something like this before, but we've seen nothing like this before.
That's right.
Like I go back to the second Miami championship with LeBron. I'll go back to the first Kevin Durant year with the Warriors. I'll go back to the 92 Bulls. After you win that championship, the first one, you walk into the building the next year as an opponent knowing you have no chance. Like you lose the game before you walk in the building. Like there's something mentally that is taken away from you because that other team has such an advantage and has such an arrogance. And I say this in a great way, in a complimentary way. Oklahoma City's so freaking arrogant. We just don't think of them as that because they are humble nice, Oklahoma City with Sam Presti. They're nice guys and all that. You see the way they play. If they played in a different jersey, we'd be talking about how swaggy they are, how much they don't give a shit. Oh, I just did. Okay, you know what I mean? Like we would say those things because they have such an arrogance about them. You can stay close. Doesn't matter. They didn't play well last night. They shot 31 from 3. They had 11 turnovers. Like they don't beat themselves. They wait on you to self-destruct. And that has to be one of, if not the worst feelings as an opponent as you can have, that you are going to wait on me to destruct while you just go and play your game. They're not even playing against you. They're playing practice.
This stat that Jackson just put in here, the Thunder are the 4th team in NBA history to outscore their opponents by 200 points in their first 13 games of the season. That's amazing because remember how close some of those first games of the year they played were?
That's right. They had all those double overtime.
So what about the rest of them?
So I'll just say on draft night 2024, the Thunder, they actually had, some of these years they have like 7 second rounders. I think they actually kind of had a light second round. I think they had the 52nd pick in that draft. And they made a series of transactions where they moved up from like 52 they got they got 40, and then they did another swap. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the second round, but I'm pretty sure relatively there may be some twists and turns that I may not 100% have, but they pretty much moved from 52 to 40 to 38 in a series of moves to get AJ Mitchell, who was, out of UC Santa Barbara, from Belgium.
Yeah.
And they signed him to a 2-way contract, and then they liked him after the first year, and they signed him to a 3-year, $8.5 million contract over the summer. And now he is a bona fide rotation player. He's starting right now. And he's averaging 17. So no Jalen Williams. Lou Dort is out. They moved this guy in the starting lineup. He's averaging 17 points and shooting 46% from the field and defending his backside off. He's averaging almost 2 steals a game.
I think they all average a steal a game
in just 28 minutes.
I know. Well, they all average 12 deflections a game. Yeah. All right. Well, what will Jokic do next? What will we be calling Vince next week? Okay. Thank you very much to Jackson.
You can call me Vinny once we're in the podcast. That's fine.
No, I respect it. I think I'm not going to mention it anymore because I've put you through it enough. All right. Thank you to Ramona, Momo, Shelburne. Thank you to Vince Goodwill. Thank you to Jackson. Thank you for listening and watching the Hoop Collective all week long. And we'll be back with the Tims on Monday.